One of our most popular luncheons, no doubt, every year is always our State of the Schools. And I think that is because the schools are so critical to business and the community in Mentor. And I think it's also because Matt Miller does a tremendous job presenting what's going on in the schools and the tremendous work that his teachers, his staff, many of the teachers and staff are in the room, and appreciate you all being here. Some of the students, tremendous students that are here. So it's important that we hear about what's going on in our community and in our schools. Matt is the superintendent of Mentor Public Schools. He spent the last 22 years serving Ohio communities as an educator in the roles of superintendent for 11 years, director of student services and instruction for a year, a principal for 5 years, and a teacher for 5 years. He is actively involved in the prestigious and nationwide League of Innovative Schools through Digital Promise, also serving as an elected member of their advisory committee. He was selected as one of 100 superintendents nationwide to attend and present at the Future Ready National Connect Ed Superintendent Summit at the White House in 2015. Was named to the National School Boards Association Top 20 to Watch in the Nation, and conducted his first TEDx talk entitled Don't Buy the Book, Cultivate, Curate, and Go Open in 2016. He is transforming Mentor through the use of open educational resources and balanced learning, along with emphasizing student and teacher voice through innovation. He completed his undergraduate coursework and master's degree at the University of Cincinnati, and we might be a little bit proud of that, you may hear about that, and was selected for the Harvard Graduate School of Education's Leadership Institute for Superintendents. He is grateful for his supportive family, his wife Christy, their 2 children. Mason is a junior at the University of Cincinnati, and congratulations to Jessica, who's a senior at Mentor High School and just decided also to go to the University of Cincinnati. I think there was some arm twisting maybe, but no, but a wonderful school, and they have great colors, I'm sure you all agree. They're very similar. But we're very blessed to have Matt as a leader in our community as the superintendent of our schools, and happy to invite him to come up and talk a little bit about what's going on in the state of schools. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Al. Thanks everybody for being here. Really appreciate. This is one of my favorite days of the year because I get to talk about our students and about our kids in Mentor, and you'll see a little bit about what we're doing every single day in our school district. I do want to acknowledge a couple other guests that we have. I have 3 board members, I think just 3 right now. I have Board President Jenny Gisling and Vice President Mary Briner and Board Member Sally Miller. So I appreciate their support for our schools and for our community. Want to thank Chamber, again, the whole committee, not just Al, but everybody for putting this on and giving us the opportunity to showcase what our teachers are doing every day and what our students are doing every day in our schools. So thank you to the Chamber. And I appreciate all of our sponsors, but I really want to give a shout out to MTA because they always sponsor State of the Schools. And even though Greg Lowry was up here talking about the community support, and that is huge to our success, we don't get done for our kids what we need to get done without our teachers and the relationships our teachers have with our students. So thank you to MTA and to all of our teaching and classified staff as well. With that, I want to give a little bit of context so we can talk about what's going on in your school district. Currently we have Mentor High School, which I believe is about the 7th largest high school in the state of Ohio. We operate 3 middle schools, 8 elementary schools, and we have our CARES school for students with autism that's at the Jacqueline A. Hoynes building. And currently that's our structure. We look at this all the time, but we're going to talk more about that in just a second. One of the other unique features about Mentor and about our school district is how we operate with our finances. We're proud to announce for the 7th year in a row a perfect audit from the state of Ohio and Dave Yost. I know of no other school district that gets back-to-back perfect audits, so certainly having 7 in a row is a testament to Dan Wilson, our CFO, and his office, and we're very proud of that fact that we're good stewards with our community's money. And so that's an important piece of what you're going to see as well, because we have to be in a good financial standing to be able to do what we do for our kids and for our community. Currently, you can see what our enrollment is. This is just updated. This changes just about every day, quite honestly, as you can imagine, some of our population. But you can look at where we're at kindergarten through 12th grade. We're going to graduate, hopefully, 667 seniors. at the end of May, and you can see how, as you go up from the bottom, you can see what our enrollment is. And so we still have a little bit of enrollment issues. And again, I go back to the fact that Mentor is a really, really good community to live in, to work in, and certainly to go to school in. And a lot of times people stay here and they don't downsize. And so I think that's a reflection of the lower enrollment at some of the grade levels. So we're always looking at enrollment, always looking at making adjustments and changes, and this year is no different than any other year in that regard. Some of the things that I'm hoping you've seen or you've heard about is the innovation going on and the teaching and learning going on in our school district, in our schools. One of the best things I get to do, whether I'm in Mentor or somewhere else speaking, is I get to talk about our kids and our teaching staff. And that's what you see behind me or up on the screens on the side. So our kids don't learn the way we learned, right? And so because our kids are different now, we have to change a lot of what we do in our classrooms. And so we're receptive to that and know that school doesn't look like 25 or 30 desks in a row anymore. It doesn't look like somebody standing in front of a large group disseminating information, kind of like what I'm doing now, but it's a little bit different in our classrooms now. So we're receptive and understand that as our kids change, we need to make adjustments as well. And that's what we're about in Mentor, and that's what I'm going to get to here in just a few minutes. Let me talk about Paradigm for just a second. Paradigm was part of our Straight A Fund. What you're seeing now, our brand new state superintendent, Paulo Di Maria, visited Mentor to see what we're doing here, what our kids are doing, and what our teachers are doing every day. Paradigm was funded totally with the Straight A grant. And many of you that have been here for State of the Schools or have been involved in the schools in some capacity realize that that was a pretty big deal for us. The grant was $13.8 million. Mentor received $12 million. Kirtland received $1.8 million. And it was to showcase innovation, cost savings, and sustainability in the state of Ohio. So our new state superintendent heard about what was going on in Mentor, wanted to come up and see it. So after just a few months on the job, he was just here a couple weeks ago to interact with our school board, to interact with our students and some of our teaching staff. A few of the people too that you'll see on the screens are state school board members that represent Mentor, but also certainly other places in Ohio. So we're excited about what the Straight A grant brought, not just Paradigm, but innovation in our classrooms, devices for our kids, and professional development for our teachers. And really the professional development in our teaching staff has been key to our success of doing things for kids. A lot of what the grant did just accelerated what we were going to do for our students anyway. So we're glad to get the grant, obviously, but we're also glad that we're able to implement it in a very short amount of time to make these changes for our kids and for productive students when they go to college or into the workforce or into our military. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. The Straight A grant also allowed us to expand our course offerings for our students. So in Mentor, I think we look at what are the best options for our kids. So what are the best options we have now, but what else can we open up for our students? So the Straight A grant enabled us to bring back some courses that over time we had to get rid of or adjust to the work environment or college environment and introduce new additional classes that our kids did not have the opportunity to do before. So we're glad that the grant brought that to Mentor as well. One of the other great things that I get to do for State of the Schools is I get to talk about our kids and you get to hear from some of our students. And I'm going to introduce our first one now, and she's going to talk about her high school experience. Please welcome up Lexi Mealy. Lexi?
Thank you, Mr. Miller. So today when Mr. Miller asked me to speak about blended learning, I really had to take a second to evaluate what blended learning means to me and what it has meant to me for the past 4 years since we started incorporating it in the district. A lot of misconceptions about blended learning revolve around the fact that it's based on simply putting technology into the classroom. But for me, the idea of blended and balanced learning is more of a place where instruction by teachers meets initiative by students. And that's where it's really impacted my high school experience. When I was contemplating what I wanted to talk about today, the thing that kind of kept coming back to was project-based learning initiatives. This is something the district's been emphasizing even more this year than in years past, and essentially what these are research initiatives that allow students to combine what they're passionate about with required instruction. So in some classes, these can be week-long units, 2-week-long units, but in other courses, they're year-long projects that allow students to not only answer research questions, but to pose their own that pertain to the curriculum at hand. I'm currently participating in 3 of these, and I did 2 of them last year. Essentially, what project-based learning is an opportunity for students to pursue their passions within the curriculum and in ways that pertain to the curriculum. Last year, I did these in AP Psychology as well as in AP American Government. Through American Government, I was able to start a state political organization for youth political involvement. And through AP Psychology, I was able to study the psychology of terrorism and how we can combat that in public policy. Now, I'm someone who's very interested in government, not so much in the sciences and things like psychology, but through a project-based initiative, I was able to pursue one of my passions, even when it didn't directly pertain to the curriculum. And in this way, student-teacher relationships are also bettered, because teachers no longer become simply the arbiter of truth, giving out information to be regurgitated later, but they become the facilitators of research, and the facilitators of students pursuing their interests, which just creates a very strong bond between students and their teachers. I'm involved in 3 more of these this year. One through AP Economics, where I'm studying the European Union and how that union affects U.S. trade partnerships. Another in AP Statistics, taught by Mr. Lowry. That is a year-long project that we're doing that involves actually going out into the community and gathering information and analyzing that information. But one of the ones that's been most meaningful to me is the ability to develop my own program of study. You might have seen on the screen before that we had personalized independent study programs through blended learning and through these initiatives. And this year I was actually, with the help of Mr. Wolfke, able to create my own course in comparative politics to again better pursue one of my passions. So overall, the effects of blended learning, it just boils down to greater student engagement. Students want to learn and they want to pursue their passions, because with blended and balanced learning, students are actually given a voice in their education. They're given a choice in what they want to study, even though some of it is required curriculum, and that has been invaluable. To finish up here, I'm going off to college next year, and because of blended learning, I feel extremely more prepared than I would have otherwise. It encourages critical thinking skills, initiative, time management, and things that you simply don't get with a traditional classroom experience. So I feel very blessed to have been in this district for the past 4 years, and I'm sure the students feel the same way. Thank you.
Thank you, Lexi. Thank you, Lexi. Lexi is too modest to let you know that that college that she's going to is called Harvard this fall. So we're very excited for her and look forward to her following her down the road. We've also made a shift in Mentor to putting more of an emphasis on our career tech offerings for our students. So in Mentor we talk about kids going to college, but also we talk about careers as well, and the importance of filling a lot of the openings a lot of you have in your businesses here in Mentor in the Lake County region. So let me talk about that and go into a little bit deeper about the career tech offerings. Currently we're in the Lakeshore Compact with Wycliffe Schools and Euclid Schools right now. As part of that, our offerings for our students, we realized even though we had a robust program that our kids could have more options. So we started a partnership with Auburn Career Center. We're not a part of Auburn Career Center, but they have seats that were open that our kids were interested in. So with their generosity and the partnership we have at Mentor for a programming we have that Auburn kids can come to Mentor at, we have a reciprocity now. So we have more programming than we've ever had for our kids and more options for our kids at the high school. I won't do this, but I could talk for hours about the importance of career tech now for our kids. Many of you know that and see that as terms of openings. We have businesses in town that are looking for that workforce. We realize that and feel that we can help fill that niche, as it were, for our community, because I think it's a good idea for our students to delve more into career tech. What administratively we're talking about and looking at team-wise and with our staff is how can we even extend those career tech options to kids that are in lower grade levels, and you'll see a little bit of that here in the presentation. But if you don't know, career tech really starts at the junior and senior levels, but I think that's almost too late for some of our kids, so they could learn more about it. So we're doing more things with Project Lead the Way at high school, middle school, and we're going to drill down a little bit into the elementary as well. But I really think our kids need to see a lot of what they can do in the career field at the middle school level. And that's sort of the approach we started talking about to introduce kids to working with their hands, to introduce kids of real skills, because we want them to get gainfully employed as they come through Mentor and through our community. So we're proud of what we have to offer, but we realize we need to do a little bit more. One of the opportunities we have too for our kids is an internship program, and with a partnership that we have with Lake Health. What you see on the screens is current construction through some drone footage of the new wellness center that Lake Health is building just by the football stadium. So we're excited about that project because we're going to have real internships with Lake Health. We've already started the conversations and what that looks like, not just for our career tech kids, but for all of our students, at least the opportunity to take a true internship at a world-class facility that will go into the health careers, even office management, logistics, things like that. So that's another opportunity or another option for our kids. So just about a year from now, this facility will be open. So we're hoping for internships the following school year. So this is another excitement for our kids, for our community. And again, it goes back to creating options for students. I mentioned Makerspace just a few minutes ago. Our high school and middle schools are starting to develop more with Makerspace. We realize that it's not just about the ABCs 1, 2, 3s, it's not just about screen time and a computer, but it's also about creating things and how our kids can help learn to use their hands on things that maybe we've gotten away from a little bit over the years when we place so much emphasis on testing and scores and things like that. But we've seen kids being able to do projects. School's not like it was when we were in school. It's a lot different now. So we've been able to do some things with maker spaces, with tinkering, and we're starting to see an expansion of that. So we're excited about the options. What you're seeing now are students at Ridge. The staff at Ridge has really worked hard to get some grants from local opportunities and also on statewide opportunities. So we have maker spaces now where our kids are using their hands to learn, and that's pretty exciting for all of us. Then the innovation has trickled down to the elementary schools. And so what you see on the screens on the side and behind me is sort of what elementary learning looks like now at Mentor schools and other schools across Ohio as well. But we see it as kids moving, kids interacting. You heard a little bit from Lexi, but you're going to hear now from a little bit from the elementary perspective. A few years ago, we started Catalyst at Ridge, where it's a sort of an ideal classroom for blended or now balanced learning. We actually developed another Catalyst room. We called it Catalyst North, which is housed at Lake Elementary. And ironically, a lot of our best ideas come from our kids and our teachers. And the design for Catalyst North was done by one of our middle school students a couple years ago, who's now at the high school. Did a CAD program. And you know, I could barely tell you what CAD stands for. Nobody called me out on that. But just to see what our kids are doing and able to build and how we see that through to fruition. So right now at Catalyst North, we have a class from Fairfax Elementary that's taking a bus and going to Lake to be in this environment and what that's like. So I'm going to turn it over now to Mrs. Stephanie Ward. She's one of our teachers at Fairfax, but is attending school right now at Catalyst North. And then she has Brogan and Lauren who are going to help her as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Ward. Oh.
First, I'd just like to say thank you for inviting me to be here. I truly am living my dream. I'm a Mentor grad myself, and when I went to Bellflower Elementary, all I wanted to do was grow up and be a second grade teacher, so here I am. So I feel very privileged and honored to be here. I have two of my students here, Lauren and Brogan, and I'm not going to talk too much about what Catalyst is because I'm going to let them do the talking, but I do want to say that Catalyst has provided myself with the experience to take some chances, to take some risks, to create an inviting, passionate, fun, can I say that word? Fun environment for kids to learn and grow in. It's a space that we kind of are learning in together, and I think that's the best part. To go on along with what Lexi and Mr. Miller has said, education has changed, and I think part of our learning and growing and changing is not only teaching students the skills that they need, but having them then create something to teach others. That's a lifelong skill. So without further ado, I'm going to let Ms. Garbino share what she has created.
My project is about dogs and why I like them better than cats.
Do you have a favorite animal? I do, and it is a dog. I like dogs because they are really fluffy and you could snuggle with them. Another reason I like dogs is because they are cute and funny. I also like dogs because some of them are quiet and some of them bark all day long. Maybe you don't like dogs because they're a lot of responsibility, or you just don't like them because you like cats more. Finally, the last thing I like about dogs is that, in my opinion, they could be your best friend when you're really lonely. The end.
So one of our topics of study is fact and opinion. So we can study that skill and then have the students really expand and make their own project about fact and opinion, teach others, and kind of make them more aware of the world around them and what they're listening to. Are they listening to a fact or are they listening to an opinion? Do you want to share? Okay. So with no further ado, Lauren's part is done and we're going to move over to Brogan. Brogan created his piece. Brogan created his piece on why he liked learning at Catalyst. So without further ado, here's Brogan's project.
This is our new Catalyst classroom. Do you like cool furniture in a classroom that can move anywhere? Moving furniture helps us to quickly work with our friends on projects and classwork. Catalyst is a great place to learn because we have so much room. We have a lot of choices. We can work in a recording room, at tables, or even sit on beanbag chairs, or bouncy chairs too. In our Catalyst classroom, we airplay our work on Apple TVs. We have 4 of them, so you can sit anywhere and see it all. At Catalyst, we each have an iPad. It is so cool to do our work on our own iPads. Our teacher is so funny. She said we can write on the walls, and we do, because we have so much plexiglass. Here are some pictures of kids working in the classroom. Catalyst makes us feel special. We like learning at Catalyst. We can learn in so many fun ways.
I just want to close with the last quote slide. It said, "Mistakes make you who you are," and that actually was a quote that came from one of our discussions from one of my second graders, so we made that our theme. And I think that in an environment that we've created where kids can take risks, where kids can learn in a different way, you can learn lessons like mistakes make you who you are. So, thank you.
So we didn't practice this, but I'm going to ask questions. So just because I know people are going to think this.
Sure.
How much of the presentation did they do versus what you did?
So this is the cool thing about technology.
We didn't practice.
They know how to work it more than I do. So we have a rule that you ask 3 before you ask me. And I'm going to call Mr. Lynch out as we were practicing yesterday on making sure it was on the screens. He and I sort of had to figure it out because I couldn't quite remember, and it took us a minute or 2 to figure out the program.
So did the kids do the pictures?
Yes, the kids did all the pictures. The kids did the writing first, and I think what's really important as an elementary school teacher and a passion of mine, if you know me personally, is reading and writing. And I think sometimes when parents hear the word blended learning, they're afraid that kids aren't going to be reading books or writing. So the first part of this project was they had to write with a pencil and paper about their ideas and their opinion, come up with facts, and then they got to record. They made their own pictures, they made their own slides, they put in whatever order they wanted, and again, it was that structure following the learning standards of writing.
So the finished product was really done by all,
Finished product is theirs.
the song, everything?
The song, they picked the
Okay.
song,
That's awesome.
they picked the pictures. Lauren
Second
had
grade.
permission for her pictures. She wanted to show that dogs are a lot of responsibility, so that was
Right.
why she had the one funny picture.
That's good. Thank you very much. We really, really appreciate it. So, oh, I think that's off. There we go. So, I mean, that's second grade, right? And so I thought that the kids did everything, and to hear Mrs. Ward talk about it, they have been. So high school teachers sometimes don't like me saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway because there's only one here. But our kids, almost at the elementary level, on some levels, are doing more creating and things on their own than what the high school kids are doing. And so that's interesting to see the different levels of the kids coming through. And so that makes me think too that, oh my gosh, we have to get ready because these kids at this age, what they're doing versus when they're 16, 17, and 18 is going to be a big difference for us. So that's one of the things that we have conversations and discussions about. One of the things that we've talked about too in Mentors, we're shifting away from textbooks. Across the country, we spend about $8 billion in textbooks. So not saying we don't believe in books because you heard the reading and writing aspect and that's very important, but what we're shifting from, and really good teachers have been doing this all along, when we had a set curriculum with set textbooks and set standards coming through, we would adopt something and then we'd probably use it for 8 to 10 years. So in that time, think of all the changes that can happen in any of the methodology of teaching and any of the content, math, social studies, language arts, we can talk about that. But shifting away from textbooks into more digital curriculum enables us to be more fluid and to pull our best resources together. One of the things that you may have heard is something called open educational resources. Open educational resources is just really good instruction infused with technology and allowing our teachers to collaborate through professional development like at Paradigm or other places across the state to pull in best instructional practices, but also curriculum from different points that fit what our kids need. And it can always change. So that's one of the highlights we like too. You might hear about testing in the state of Ohio, but our experts are in our classrooms, and they have been for many years. So OER just shifts that around a little bit and let's sort of frame and let our own teachers curate the content that our kids need to be successful. Some of the things that Lexi talked about, some of the things that you saw Brogan and Lauren talk about. One of the things that we get to do as part of what we're involved with the League of Innovative Schools is they brought me in to do a TED Talk. What are your teachers doing? What are your students doing? It's one of the coolest experiences I had, not because I got to do a TED Talk, but because I got to talk to a whole bunch of people about what we're doing in Mentor with our students and with our kids. And we talk about how we give teachers permission to try new things, let them curate the content, let them talk to one another, and let them engage with other professionals to see what works and what doesn't work. If you want to see the TED Talk, it's linked on our website, but it just talks about letting our teachers have more of a say on what's going on in the classroom. We're very, very excited for this next point, and this is sort of the public announcement, but my team's been working very hard on it for weeks, is we're a part of a group called the League of Innovative Schools. Through a bipartisan effort, through a group called Digital Promise that was actually started with President Bush, carried through with President Obama, and will still go on with President Trump. But Digital Promise has 2 convenings a year, and Mentor is going to be the site visit for the spring meeting in April. Now this is a group, the League of Innovative Schools, that we applied to get into, and there are only 77 schools across the country that are admitted to the League of Innovative Schools. So it's like-minded superintendents, like-minded schools that collaborate and share, and I'm going to talk about collaboration here in just a few minutes, but we're excited to host. Vancouver has hosted, Washington, D.C., Baltimore Public Schools, and a few others. And they called just a couple weeks ago and said, Matt, we want to move the league meeting in the spring to Mentor. So we'll be hosting 275 people in a nationwide conference. It'll be 75 of the leading superintendents across the country, some of their thought leaders also will be coming here, but also it'll be some of the national thought leaders tied into Apple, Google, other tech ed companies that are coming to Mentor and will be housed here at Paradigm for their 3-day conference. So we're very, very excited about that to showcase once again what our kids are doing and what our students are doing. Thank you. In Mentor, I'm going to talk a little bit about where we're focusing now. We did some strategic engagement with our staff. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but also with all of you, our community leaders last year. And we're trying to hone in and sort of laser our focus on the ABCs of education: adapting, balancing, and collaborating. We understand that kids are changing and we have to change with them, but we also see that there has to be a balance between direct instruction, balanced or blended learning, career tech. We see that there has to be opportunities for our kids, and it's not a one-size-fits-all anymore. But also, and I think this is something that schools need to do more of, and we're starting to do more of in Mentor, and that's collaborate with other school districts and learn from teacher to teacher, no matter where they're at. Because we want to find the best fit and the best option and opportunities for our kids. So we will very soon be rolling out sort of our own ABCs that came as a result of the conferences we've had with all of you in terms of our new mission, vision statement for our school district. So we worked with our business leaders and community leaders last year. A lot of you in this room were a part of that, and we've shifted now to our staff to get their feedback. Very good conversations and discussions about where we need to go and where we need to move, not resting on our laurels, not happy with the status quo. So more of this will be coming out very, very soon as we get closer to that league meeting in April. One of the best partnerships we can have as a school district is with our city, and specifically not just the city administration, though we do, but with our fire department and police department. We work all the time on school safety for our kids. There's a lot of things that happen during the course of a school year that our kids are involved with, that we get alerted by the police or fire department, and we work to make sure our kids are safe. We've done active response shooting, which is ALICE training. We have barricades, which is a time-saving device in all of our classrooms and all of our rooms in every school that we have. So in case something bad would happen, we have something that we can use and deploy that'll hopefully save some time. The other thing that we realize is kids can sometimes get involved with bullying type activities. So we do Rachel's Challenge, which maybe you've heard about. Rachel Scott was the first victim at Columbine, and her family started a foundation to talk about spreading kindness. So we have incorporated a lot of Rachel's Challenge ideas into our school as well. One of the unique things that we did this year was, again, it was a kindness rally that we hosted at our Fine Arts Center, which included middle school and high school students from Lake and Geauga counties. So we were able to host that for all of our schools, and Mark Nemunitis, who's one of our counselors at the high school, was key about getting that started and maintaining it, and we're very excited that our kids got to be a part of that initiative. So we do other things too that will, hopefully you have seen in our quality profile report. At your seat, when you came in today, you should have received a quality profile report showcasing what we do for our kids and what we do for our community. So in addition to making sure that we're accountable academically, that is important, but what else does our community value? So the quality profile report, I believe we're on our 4th year iteration of that, takes a look at what else do we value in terms of being a successful school district. In there, a lot of your ideas came into play, and we've been surveying our community, surveying our staff, and that's all included in the quality profile. We have other copies if you'd like to take them back for your businesses, or it's always online as well. So we're very proud of the host of things that we're doing in the schools. We have our National Merit semifinalists and commended students here. It's an ever-growing group. Every year it seems like we get more and more students involved and that are getting that national attention, and we're happy to showcase our students. The semifinalists should find out next week? Soon. All right, soon. Next week they find out if they're finalists, so we're very excited about this cadre of students. In the same vein of showcasing our students to others, we were able to take 3 different student groups to the Ohio School Board's Capital Conference this year in Columbus. Once a year, all the state school board and administrators are invited to the statewide conference in Columbus. I don't know of any other school that took 3 groups. There may have been, maybe closer to Columbus, but we were able to feature our students that were in career tech for flipping the house. If you remember, I talked about that last year. We're doing another one this year. So our kids went down, were able to showcase that project. We also had students from Brentmore showcasing robotics that they're doing at the elementary level. And then we also had our Bellflower students that talked about their wax museum experience that they had at the elementary level too. So we were able to have our students present for school board members and other superintendents and school administrators in Columbus. So I'm very proud of all of our students. Another initiative that we sort of resurrected and has been gaining a lot of steam is Model UN. So you can especially appreciate how important Model UN is at this day and age and this juncture. So we were able to host a Model UN conference for the first time here at Paradigm. And then I'm going to let Joy Mason, who is a junior at Mentor High, talk about Model UN and then another project that she was involved with that piggybacked off of Model UN.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
You're welcome.
So, as he said, we were very excited to host our very own Model United Nations conference here at Mentor last year in October. So, just to give you a little bit of background on Model UN, it was designed to be an exact mock, or maybe not exact, of the real United Nations. That means that we debate real-world topics such as ISIS and nuclear proliferation and other fun things like that. So, this year, well, every year, our Mentor High Model UN team seems to be growing for the past decade or so. So we were very excited to be able to take on a couple new things this year. In addition to our 2 regular local conferences and then our 2 international conferences, we also took on a new international conference this year that's being held in Washington, D.C. And then we also took the initiative to hold our own conference right here. So just to start with the structure of it, we began, well, first, we were, by using everything we got from the Straight A grant, we were able to utilize this entire building. Our opening and closing ceremonies were held here, where we had Kevin Malachek as our keynote speaker. We were very excited about that. And then we used all the other smaller collaboration rooms to kind of be our nerve centers, which through using iPads and our MacBooks that we all got this year, we were able to use apps such as Periscope and GroupMe to keep the collaboration flowing. So our theme was real world, real time. And our main topic was the Syrian crisis. And our idea was to create an experience that you will not get anywhere else, and as far as we know, there isn't one like anywhere else. We were able to, again, through using all technology, have 4 cabinets, which were the United States, Russian, Turkish, and Syrian cabinets, and we also had the UN Security Council. We all worked together, at times, to try to solve these crises that our advisor, Mr. Couch, threw at us, and we had no idea what was coming. This was what was so unique because the goal of United Model UN is to give students a global perspective. And in the real world, things happen like this all the time. And especially, sometimes in school, we don't always get the opportunity to learn about this kind of idea of globalization and real world politics. And we had 4 high schools attending. We had St. Ed's, Chardon, Solon, and Gilmore Academy come. And we had around 40 students, not including the Model UN team here at Mentor that helped to run it. And for 2 days, we worked together to solve these crises and try to write resolutions and directives. And I feel like it gave everyone a real perspective into the UN and how it works. Because when we go to normal conferences, we have the whole parliamentary procedure, and it's very structured, and we kind of go in knowing what we're going to say and how we want things to go. But with these crises, we had no idea what was coming, and that's how it is in the real world. So we are very excited to bring that to Mentor, and we look forward to having another great conference next year. And so to kind of continue, this year through my AP Government Blended 20 Time project, I was able to take Model UN to the middle schools. It was originally at Memorial, and then for a short time, but this year I was able to bring it to Shore and Ridge Middle School. I had around 26 students that took on the challenge of being world savers. And they debated topics from, again, nuclear proliferation to safe drinking water as a human right. And I was really excited to bring this into the middle schools because, again, the whole globalization issue that sometimes, especially younger students, aren't as exposed to. And I feel that politics is something that people either really are drawn to, like Lexi, or like me, try to shy away from. So I learned through doing Model United Nations myself is that you don't have to want to be, member of the United Nations in real life to be interested in politics. I want to be a surgeon. This was definitely something that I stressed to the middle schoolers when I first started, that you don't have to, want to save the world every day. But Model United Nations gives you a valuable skill in life to be able to, debate politics, be involved in the real world, and especially with the presidential election last year, some students were very excited to jump in and see how politics worked. So at conference, again, I had 26 students that were split between the General Assembly, the Human Rights Council, the High Commission on Refugees, and then the UN Security Council. And I was so impressed at how they were able to go in there, debate topics like they've been doing forever, even though they only had like 2 months to get ready after everything settled down. And I actually had 3 delegations come out with awards. I had 2 honorable mentions and then an excellent delegation award, which was beyond my expectations. And I actually finished up with them this week at Ridge and then Shore last week. And all 26 of them either want to come back next year if I, able to bring it back, which if I have the means to do so, I totally intend on going back to the middle schools next year. And then I also hope that this would draw into the high school program as well. So again, Model United Nations really wanted to stress the topic of globalization, a skill that I feel that everyone, including the young generation, should have, building a brighter future for our country. Thank you. And thank you to everyone for having me. And
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. One of the quick things I want to point out about Joy's presentation is she took a lot of ownership on it, especially the junior Model UN. You might have noticed that. She said, like, I did this and I did this. She did do all that. The only thing that we did, she came to me, I don't know if it was an email or if you came to see me, I can't remember now. She came to see me and said, hey, I want to do, she said it much better than that, hey, we're doing Model UN, but I really want to start it at the junior high level. And she said, there used to be a Model UN at that level, or some of the schools were and weren't, but I want to do it. And so all I did was say, yes. And so she did everything that she's talking about. She organized everything. She got the opportunities for their kids. So again, another example of some of our best ideas come from staff or from the students themselves. So she ran with it, and you saw a little bit of it here. So kudos to Joy. Thank you. As we're sort of wrapping up and winding down, because I know we're close to that 1 o'clock hour, I want to talk about a new thing that some of my administrators and I are going to do coming up in February. There's a national movement called Shadow a Student, and what it is, literally, we're going to follow a student during their school day just to see the perspective from their level. So as a superintendent, I'm going to pick a middle school student, and I'm going to get on the bus with that student during the day. I know, think about that. And ride that bus and come to school and go through their schedule. I'm not there to observe teachers. I'm not there to look at any of the logistics. I'm there to see it from their eyes. So I forwarded it to my district principals and administrators, and I couldn't believe how fast they were jumping on that opportunity too. So it goes from, I think, February 2nd to the 17th. So I'm really excited and kind of looking forward to what that looks like from a student perspective. So I wanted to mention that and give some of my administrators a shout out. One of the best things that we do in Mentor is our Coleman Springs Zonneville military commitment ceremony. And this year it's going to be on April 25th. If you're not aware of what that is, a lot of schools for either academics or athletics will have a signing day. So and so is going to play a sport here and they're going to sign, or they're going to go to a school and we have signing day. We also have signing day for our military students who are going to go into the military. So I know a lot of you, especially fire department and police, like to attend. So that's going to be April 25th, which is a Tuesday at 9 a.m. Community service project. Our kids do a lot of stuff. Sometimes it's in large groups, sometimes it's just themselves or maybe a couple other students, but we are very involved with Feed Lake County. So if you are willing to help, if you get a business card, just leave it on the table. And if you're interested in hosting one of our boxes to help Feed Lake County, our students would really, really appreciate that. If you're not sure, talk to me afterwards or one of the other administrators. But if you are sure, your business card on our table is going to mean that we're going to get something to you. Is that right? In the back? Good, okay. Want to make sure I plug that as well for our kids. Mr. Lowry mentioned it in his opening remarks. I want to thank our community for their support of our schools all the time. And really because of the levy that we just had, this is the first opportunity to say thank you in person. So thank you for your continued financial support, but also for the continual support that you show our kids year-round. 2 community meetings that I want to mention for the greater good. And so it impacts our school and our city is we realize some of the issues that we're having around drugs, heroin, and opiates. So Mentor Schools is going to host an event on February 21st to start the conversation and where people can go for help. We are going to plug it and we'll get more information out to you. That's the first one. Another meeting that we're going to have is going to be, I believe, April 12th, and it's called Hidden in Plain Sight. That session is going to be for adults only, and we're going to talk about what to look for in your own home in case you have concerns about your children using. So I wanted to make sure to plug those at least verbally, but we will start putting that out because we see that that's really a crisis, and we have great partnerships with mental health groups, hospitals, PD and fire going on, and we're having those conversations now. So I think it's important that we at least acknowledge that that's going on in terms of those 2 events that are coming up for our community. We're really active on social media. It's the best way that we can get out the positive news going on in our schools. So please check out our Facebook page at the district level. And if you're not on Twitter, please get on Twitter, because if you want to see what's going on in our classrooms, our teachers push out a lot of content on Twitter. And you can follow what's going on in our schools by looking for do a search for the hashtag Once a Card. But we like to share with our community what's going on. A lot of what you saw today that the kids presented and talked about is out there every single day. So it's amazing the good stuff that we have that goes on in our classrooms every single day. Any burning questions for the good of the order before we go? I will stick around, so if you have something, you can hit me up. There's the hashtag. Check that out when you're on social media. You'll see all the good stuff that's going on for our kids. I really, really appreciate the Chamber giving me the time, and I really, really appreciate all of you being here. And I want to thank our students and our teachers that are here that presented. So in a couple years, I just want to phase out and say hi and just showcase our kids and teachers, because that's really what it's about. So thanks.